Okay, so I'm looking at this right now and I'm seeing that there's this article. I'll show you right now. Labour's Angela Rayner evades questions on scrapping council tax discount for single residents. The single person discount reduces council tax bills by 25% for taxpayers who live alone, but it could soon come under fire after Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner refused to confirm it wouldn't be scrapped. Holy shit. Okay. So, according to this article, it looks like the people who are going to be hit hardest are pensioners who are bereaved, okay? And pensioners have been getting hit hard. They have been really, really targeted. Now, I talk all day, every day, all day, every day about targeting and marginalized communities and protecting our children. But truth be told, our elderly are getting it in the fucking neck over here. Okay? There are specific guidelines that the health authority, and you know which health authority I'm talking about, and how they care for sick elderly patients or sick older patients. There's the particular set of standards by the health authority that is contributing to the, let's call it what it is, to the thinning of people of pensioner age or close to pensioner age. And this single, trying to get rid of the tax reduction thing, this thing right here, it seems to be supplementing this targeting of the elderly and targeting of older people. Now, I'm a single person and I ain't gonna hold you. I'm struggling to pay the council tax bill as is, right? And I do get discounts because I'm on benefits. But on top of this bill, if she refuses to drop the idea of scrapping the discount, it will affect targeted individuals because most targeted individuals live on their own. Okay, most of us live on our own. Most of us have to, it's either we live on our own or we live, we're just lucky enough to live with couples, but most of us live by ourselves because of all the problems that TI parents experience with their children and TIs experience as couples. So most of us live alone. So this reduction in council tax possibly being scrapped, it will affect us. That's probably what makes it most important in this video. But I'm not going to hold you. It really feels like the elderly are being attacked first. It feels like the elderly are being targeted. It's systemic. It just seems like a systemic thing where our elderly, first it was the whole, I don't know if they're still doing autopsies now. From what I've heard, since 2020, there haven't been any autopsies done. And on top of that, like I said before, when it comes to care, palliative care and care for the elderly specifically, there are specific guidelines that have been contributing to the situation where the elderly are being thinned out. I'm not going to say what those things are yet, but it really seems like the elderly are just, and this is the thing, the population has been aging for a long time, but we actually do need the elderly. The elderly are not just there as fucking relics. Like, there are practical skills that they have that the rest of us can learn from. That's A. B, there are certain patterns repeating in history that people in their 60s, 70s and 80s have seen already. And with them out of the picture, we do not have historical context or proper historical context as to what is going on in our society today. We don't have that from their lens. So we might not know how to function if enough elderly people are thinned out. Like, it will affect how human beings relate to one another. Elders are a stabilizing influence, whether we like it or not. You know, again, a lot of elderly people are human beings like any other. Most human beings are dumb. I get that. But elderly people are a stabilizing influence. And without them, this world, I'm sorry, but I've got to say it. I've got to say it. Without elderly people here, without the right amount of elderly people, this world will get more violent. This world will get more violent, and it will become more merciless, and it will become more competitive, which I think our governments probably wanted all along anyway. Because you have to remember, before anything else, every country on this planet, almost every country anyway, is a corporation first. And before we are human beings, we are either assets or liabilities to the company. And if the assets are not making any money, we are liabilities. And what do you do with liabilities, or what do you do with depreciating assets? You liquidize them. The elderly are seen as depreciating assets and not seen as people. That's why all of this is happening. So taking race out of it, it started with people with long-term disabilities. Because remember what happened during austerity now. The benefits were hit the hardest. Okay? And when benefits were hit the hardest, who were hit the hardest? Long-term, you know, long-term ill people who are long-term mentally ill or physically ill. People with long-term illnesses were targeted. People with terminal illnesses were targeted. It was those type of people who suffered the most from the PIP reforms. So it was the long-term ill and the terminally ill that were targeted first. Then it's elderly people. We're seeing just elderly people being repeatedly hammered. Then it's elderly people, or people heading towards retirement age. Because they've even lifted retirement age now. So first it was long-term disabled and long-term sick or terminally sick. Then now it's elderly people. And then it's going to be single people who are next, and specifically single women, because just by being a woman alone, you incur more cost as a human being. You need more resources than a man does just to be able to stay alive and just to be able to function. You need more resources. We might not need more food, but because of the standards that are put on women, being a woman is technically more expensive. And then combined with the pay gap in specific industries, you know, women are not liabilities because of, you know, how resourceful we are and how willing we are to adapt. Our skills of adapting and, you know, of course, bearing children when needed. But we're still liabilities, especially when we're single. When we're single, we might be able to climb up the ladder, but these capitalists in power, they're not looking for women to climb up the ladder. They're looking for women to give birth to workers. So after the long-term ill and the terminally ill, then came the elderly people being targeted like this. And again, the elderly people are being hammered as fuck right now. Now they're going to come after single and childless people. Not single and childless women, single and childless people. It's just that if anything happens to single people, it's going to be women who are hit the hardest. Anybody who has to spend more money to assimilate to a white patriarchal society, anybody who has to spend more money doing that will suffer the most. Though, ironically, it's usually the most marginalized that are better able to survive during times like this because, you know, we're used to bullshit. But yeah, after the elderly, it's going to be single people. single people outside childbearing age, preferably. So that's like from, I don't know, like from mid-20s, maybe early 30s upwards. Like after the elderly, then come single people. Single child-free people are next. Because what they want is to have a continually young workforce. And in order to have that, you need to throw your whole weight behind having young families. And remember, they're taking funding from art and sports, all the things that actually increase brain activity. So they're taking funding away from those things. So they want people who are young, relatively uneducated. They want people who are young and relatively uneducated and who are of breedable age, so that they can continue to pump out workers. That's what the far right is fighting for. They think they're fighting to be safe. Like, again, people are always the opposite to how they truly represent themselves. They go around looking for safety, and all they've done is destroy the country. But that's what the far right are fighting for. They're fighting for essentially young white families, you know, being used as work mules. That's what they're fighting for. They're fighting for young white families in the UK being used as work mules, with only people who are staunchly middle class or staunchly upper class having even the remotest chance to be educated. Just like how Britain was before immigrants came along. They want to go back to that. They want to go back to a more rigid class system where young, uneducated families work their fingers to the bone, can't afford to be properly educated in something that interests them, because they're constantly trapped like hamsters on a wheel, having to provide for their families. That's what the far right are fighting for. Let's be absolutely fucking clear. Even if they don't think they're fighting for that, that's what they're fighting for. Just an endless poverty cycle of the working class just pumping out kids. And you have to remember that the more impoverished people are, is the more they are reduced to their animalistic qualities. What that means is that when a cisgendered heterosexual man is animalized and finds himself in a situation where there aren't much resources, he has a tendency to dissipate his seed everywhere. So it's not a black man thing, it's a man thing. They have a tendency to dissipate their seed everywhere. That's why all of these men are talking about cheating, because they want to have their wife at home doing all the labor while they go and fuck around and give themselves the opportunity to get rich off their hobbies. So when you are in a situation of poverty, usually what happens is if the men are animalized enough, they will fuck around and impregnate as many women as possible. Whereas the women are the ones holding the fort. And when we say a woman's place is in the home, they're trying to diminish a woman's role, but the woman's role will be literally to build communities. So the women are going to be at home, not only building the home, not only making a home, but they're going to be making fucking communities. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it should be a good thing, but then you have to remember, men at their most animalistic are dissipating their energy everywhere, leaving women and children relatively unprotected. So it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And that's what they want for poorer people. They want poorer people to be animalistic. They want men out here to be fucking around without consequence, replacing women as soon as they get too old to breed, or as soon as the women become too outspoken. You know, as soon as they don't have their pretty young bodies anymore, they want to replace those women. That's what men and women are reduced to at their most animalistic. There's nothing to say that, you know, there can't be monogamous, faithful relationships in poverty. We've seen such relationships time and time again. It's like, there's no reason why you can't have love in any class. It's absolutely possible, but in a impoverished situation, people are reduced to their animalistic instincts. The more poverty you put people through is the more they're going to breed. Remember how the rich people get rich? They monetize their debts. They monetize their debts. Essentially, when you are in a situation where you are poor and you're pumping out kids like Jiffy popcorn, that's essentially what you're doing. You're monetizing your debts in the hopes that debt that will pay off. And in some cases, it has paid off. My family are among such success stories, or we were. So there are times where that can work, but it leads to a very harsh environment where not much education is possible, where children and adults are walking around with unresolved trauma, which makes them really effective workers, and it might even make some of them geniuses. But then just leaving a whole wreckage of abuse and fucking criminal behavior behind. But that's what they want for poorer people. They want you lot to fucking breed and shut the fuck up. Give us babies and shut your ass up. That's what the far right are fighting for. Give us babies and shut the fuck up. Give us human labor and shut the fuck up. That's what you're there to do. The class system will become more rigid as a result of everything that's going on here. And the council tax thing, that's just one legislation of many that is solidifying the class structure. Again, the hope is always that marginalized people like black folk, like brown folk will be thinned out. But truth be told, you know, a lot of black and brown people are used to hardship. We keep surviving through that shit. It's the white folk that are going to be worse off. And as always, it's going to be because of their own actions. It's going to be because of their own, the racist white people anyway, not all white people. It's going to be because of their own actions. That's why the police is dwindling. That's why older people are getting murdered by younger people. It's all to do with racism. Racism has caused all of this. All of it. COVID, you know, I shouldn't mention that word, but you know, the C word, COVID. I'm gonna be reported for it anyway. I'll just put it on my spare channel. COVID had us fucked up financially on some real stuff. It had us fucked up. Okay. You know, the aftermath of the pandemic had us fucked up financially. I'm not gonna lie, it did. But Brexit had a very large part to play in everything that's going on right now. Before, the C word was austerity, and then came the C word, and then came Brexit. And what was the whole point of Brexit? The whole point of Brexit was to give £350 million extra to the NHS per year. Did that fucking happen? No. What was the whole point of Brexit? To stop the immigrants getting in, and more immigrants are coming in than ever now. They're just not coming in from European countries. Well, I wouldn't say more immigrants than ever, but you get the point. Britain have had to reach out to non-European countries for workforce and, for workforce and academia, because we can't get them from Europe anymore. We haven't got that direct line. It has made everything worse. Exports are God knows how many times more expensive. And it all started with getting rid of the immigrants. Racism has made everything worse. And the really fucked up thing is that even though racism has made everything worse, people have become more racist in response. It's like they don't learn a fucking lesson. They don't learn a lesson. But make no mistake, racism caused all of this. I was going to leave race out of it, but it's undeniable the impact that it leaves. It's a cancer. White supremacy is a cancer. And everything that black people are accused of being, we're accused of being cancerous, we're accused of being violent. But you have to look at the world for yourself. You can't look at what the media shows you. You have to look at the world around you. All these wars, who are creating the most advanced weaponry? It's not black people, is it? Like, who are the main ones firing these microwave weapons? It's not black people. When it comes to gang stalking, organizations like La Boule, they're at the lower end of the totem pole. It is not us. It's not black folk. It's not even brown folk. Brown folk, like some brown folk, not all brown folk, want to be the ones so fucking bad. It's not them either. Extinction level events, white people, like there are so many technologies that white people have patented and weaponized that have led to extinction level events throughout nature. Racism, and all of it is down to racism. All of it is so that the white man can have a competitive advantage. That's all the fuck this is. And here's the joke. This is the joke. This is the real joke now. White people don't even like each other. They don't even like each other. Can't stand each other. Hate each other worse than they ever could us. In order to brutalize black people, they had to convince us that we're less than human. They had to tell everybody we're less than human and convince themselves that that is the only reason why they were able to commit such brutal acts against us and against brown people. They convinced themselves and their own people that we're less than human. But when you look through history and you look through the atrocities that have been committed, all the way up to present day, you will see that all the things that black and brown people are accused of is a projection. It's a projection. We're not the ones doing all this. It's just easier to take your rage out on the people who warned you in the first place. And truth be told, this is where I'm going to get really honest now. Truth tellers like me, we got shit to answer for too. Because let's just take it away from every other truther on social media right now. Even though I don't have that many views, let's take it all away from other truthers and focus on me for a second. I'm a truther. I know that perps do not give a fuck about what happens to them during gang stalking. I know they don't care. I know that even a lot of white people who are not racist ultimately don't care about whether or not they're disadvantaged by racism. I know that there are men who don't give a fuck that they are disadvantaged by sexism. I know that there are queer people who don't, I know that there are straight people who do not give a fuck that they are disadvantaged by homophobia. I know that there are people within Abrahamic faiths that do not give a fuck that they are ultimately harmed by xenophobia, because all of it is violence. It's all about military might. I know that nobody really cares. I'm still talking. Why am I still talking? I have to take some accountability for this, because us people who tell the truth, you know, we were so focused on not even playing the hero, but we were so focused on being seen as virtuous. We forgot to actually put boots to the ground. Again, it's not all of us. It's just people like me. We forgot to put boots to the ground. We forgot to act. Acting is important. I have my readings. I talk online. I'm charismatic, I know. Yeah, I've got to put it out there. It's the truth. But what am I doing with my charisma? What am I doing with my talent? Am I rehearsing my talent? No, I'm not doing nearly enough hard work. Most of the time I get tired and distracted. And I think that it's just so much for one person to take on. Because I'm over here thinking that I'm doing it by myself. And maybe I am. But the point is that people who know the truth, we keep speaking the truth. We keep trying to win through our words rather than our actions. The people who truly hate us, who truly want us to suffer and die, they do not care. They don't care if their hatred hurts them. Their hatred is the only thing keeping their fucking heart beating. Why would they give that up? Devolution of the mind is the only reason why they're still alive. Why would they give that up? Why would they give that up? But it's our fault too, because we're over here trying to talk them and shout them into being better when they don't give a fuck. Oh. We're trying to talk them and shout them into being better when they don't give a fuck. And look at the results. Look at the results. Everything is shit because of people on the other side of the curtain. Everything is shit because of them. The world is destroying itself, eating itself because of them. We have extinction level events by the millions because of them. They do not care. People get on my ass for being detached from how other people react and how other people behave. People get on my ass for being detached. No, I'm not the biggest witch out here, nor am I the most detached person out here. The people who are the most attached and who care the least are the ones who are destroying the planet and destroying themselves, and they do not care as long as they get to destroy someone else. They don't give a single fuck. But it suits our narrative. It suits us to be the truth tellers. Not even, and I hate the victim blaming shit. I really do. But it suits us to be the ones telling the truth. It suits us to be, the ones taking the abuse. It suits us to do that. Because it makes us look good in our eyes. It makes us look good to be the victims and not the perpetrators of abuse. So we keep taking it on the chin and we keep fucking talking. Just like people on the other side who are abusing us. They abuse us for the same reason we keep taking the abuse. They abuse us because they love doing it. Because we don't love what we do. But they love to be seen. They would literally rather be seen as villains. They would literally rather be seen as villains and monsters and lie about it than to even bear the possibility of being laughed at. They would rather have the whole world burning than ever feel the sting of being laughed at, ever feel the sting of being, underestimated. They would rather be the villains than be cowards in their minds. So they get on with it. They continue to hurt us no matter how much we talk. So we're all complicit in the way the world is. There are those of us who want to harm people, who truly just want to hate, just want to harm people. And it doesn't matter what is said, they just want to do it. And then there are those of us who don't want to get off the fence and stop taking the abuse. There are those of us who just want to talk and just want to just say ow continuously, rather than learning how to dodge, block, or counter the blows. So it just keeps happening all over again. It's always the truthers, the people closest to the truth, that can't stick together, that don't trust each other, that keep taking the hits. And the ones who create the illusion, who create the evil in the world, they stick together, united in their hatred of life, united in their will to dominate everything. They stick together through mutual selfishness. Evil and illusion are the same. Evil and illusion are cohesive. The truth is not cohesive. So we don't stick together. We keep taking the fucking blows. We don't counter the blows. We don't block the blows. We just keep taking them and saying ow, while the whiny bitch is hitting us. Talk about how we should stop saying ow while they keep raining blows on us. And while they're raining blows on us, they're destroying everything else around them. Breaking glass, thinking they're the only ones who can't get cut. Just got fidgety because I said a lot there. How did we get from single council tax to this? I'm trying to figure it out. It's just that, like, every time I see a legislation, it's very difficult for me not to connect the dots. We're fucked. And for me, it's not necessarily because, people are going to die. People die every day. We're fucked because the only reason why we're still here is because we're getting dumber and we're not learning our lesson. That's the only reason we're still here. That's why we're fucked. That's why humanity's fucked. It's just going to be generation upon generation of people just not getting the fucking point. And by the time people do get the point, it'll be already too late. We're fucked. The abusers are not going to stop abusing because they have a childish mentality that has paid off to the point where you can't even hurt their fucking feelings. And as for the abused, no self-preservation whatsoever. None. Because then we'd be like them. Well, what do you think it takes to win? What do you think it takes? Like, I'm not suggesting that people just dump their fucking morals and just throw all their morals out of the water. I'm just saying, like just stop pleading with ignorant people to care. They don't give a fuck. Stop pleading with hateful people to actually give a shit. They don't care that they're destroying the planet. They don't give a fuck. They really don't. Stop pleading with them. Preach to the converted. Better yet, individual work. I talked about it this month. I talked about it in the last reading that I did on Empress Justice Daily. Individual work is the name of the game for September. You feel me? Come inwards. What kind of community do you want to build from you? Fuck the outside world. That's where it starts. And you know, and if anything, tonight I have demonstrated that I am not perfect. I was trying to catch a fly. I'm not going to hold you. These people are pissing me off, like, with the coming into my fucking flat. But yeah, if I have demonstrated anything tonight, it's that I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. And I've listed all the ways in which I'm not perfect. This is getting on my nerves. These flies are getting on my fucking nerves. And you know, it's those little ones that keep bouncing around. They're harmless, but no, it's annoying me. But yeah. What are we trying to build in this world? What are we trying to... What do we want to build in this world? That question starts from within. It starts from ourselves. And we have to get real about what we want. Like in that video, I talked about, you know, T.I.'s wanting all of this shit to stop. And addressing, though haphazardly, all the things that are holding up gang stalking. It's not just a few cunts in mimicking our walk and copying us and doing microaggressions in the street. It's not just a few cunts doing microaggressions in the street. It's not just some like weirdos with fucking remote weapons that they shouldn't be using. It's more complicated than that. There's an entire structure behind it. And the only way to dismantle that structure is to dismantle everything that you've learned from this same system that is killing you. And a lot of people are just not prepared to do that. The amount of fucking bots and quacks that I've had on my damn channel on TikTok. Just not learning at all. Bots, quacks and trolls. The lot of them. Ridiculous. So... I know I have a lot of work to do. I'm not perfect. You got TIs out here writing books, and I'm doing readings and doing online content. I have a lot of work to do too. I'm not perfect, but this world is, yeah, we're fucked, man. We're fucked, just not in the way that we think. So anyway, do I end this thoroughly depressing video now? Yeah, I think I'm done. So if you made it this far in the video, let me know, my fellow TIs, how you guys are doing. I mean, I'm actually doing all right. It's just that this whole single tax thing had my mind reeling, and they might not even do it, but it's just put in my mind everything that's happened so far and what I can see everything leading to. I've been calling this for years, and I think a lot of people have been calling this for years, and watching it unfold is wild as fuck. So anyway, if you made it to this far in the video, my fellow TIs, let me know how you guys are doing. I always want to hear from you. So, I love you guys so much. Peace and blessings. And yeah, this was a harsh video, but the truth is the truth. I love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye, my darlings.